Welcome to Broke Ass to Badass, where heart-led entrepreneurs learn to build the businesses and lives of their dreams with confidence, ease, and joy. This is the anti-hustle movement, and we're your coaches in badassery, Kimi and Pua.
Find out more at bledigital.com, and wherever you're listening to this, be sure to click subscribe so you never miss an episode.
In this episode, we talk with Dani Driusso. She calls herself an artist turned successful-prenuer turned unhappy, wealthy, visible-prenuer turned is McDonald's hiring on a remote island-preneur. You can see she has an amazing sense of humor. And Dani says that when she first started building her coaching business, she was more obsessed with hiding behind the tools than she was really owning who she was and the power of her work. And this made her numbers obsessed, results obsessed, and always feeling like she had a persona to protect. Now, this firecracker is absolutely obsessed with helping unaligned entrepreneurs reconnect with their mission and break free from the numbers so that they can feel truly fulfilled in their work and their life. Get ready for this lively, interesting conversation with our friend Dani. Hi, Dani. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Oh my God. I'm so honored to be on your platform.
Okay. So
I'm blushing.
So I have to laugh because it feels a little fake to say oh, hi, Dani. Like we haven't talked to you in so long because we were literally just talking for like an hour. So just to let everybody know, yes, we've been talking for a while, but yes, officially welcome to our podcast. And we're so happy to have you here.
I'm so honored to be on here. I'm like blushing in Hawaiian.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so first, I just want to start off by saying okay, can you tell us how did you become so fucking awesome? That's your first question.
I just came out of the womb, jazz hands first, and it just went all uphill from there.
Best answer ever.
Right? Ask me anything. And I'm just I honestly am the best at pulling things out of my butt. So please ask me anything.
Oh, perfect. Well, share with us, first of all, where are you located? And give us your origin story, how you got to be doing what you're doing.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I am born and raised Calgarian from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So I am Canadian. What's up, Canadian listeners? I just like I said, came out of the womb, jazz hands first. That was very accurate because I instantly was entranced with film and theater and everything. I loved the idea that I could be whatever I wanted to be. And because I was birthed into a society that was that's not allowed. I was okay, how can I be a fairy nymph? How can I be able to do all these things when I was little? And so I went directly into drama camp. I love the idea of being able to anything is possible. Here's your imagination. Guess what? Now you get to create with it. You get to build a new world with it. You get to do whatever you want. And I loved that. And I ran with it. So I started performance and theater when I was about 8 years old, went to drama camp. I was totally that annoying kid that would ask my dad probably yearly for an agent. And my dad was no. He's I'll be your agent, Danielle. And I'm okay. That didn't serve me at all. Was I a child star? No, I was not. So that didn't help me. But he was a musician. And so I got to see him really practice his craft. And it just kept me going that I was able to fulfill my dream. So I was totally the kid that had to be the head of the drama club and had to be the A+ student in acting. And it really didn't matter to me if I even got a B in math or anything like that. I would skip everything except for acting. And for acting, I feel we were talking about this earlier, how if I cared about it, I was really, really invested, but everything else, I would just not go to class and not do things in high school unless I could do video essays for language arts or something like that. I was just very much in my zone of genius and thought, well, if I'm not good at this and if it doesn't light me up, why do I have to do it? And so I was totally that kid that would just ditch all the time. And I would stay after school, come before school just for acting and just to create my own stuff. And when I didn't get a role in a play, I was like, okay, I guess I'm writing a play for myself, and I guess I'm going to be the star in it. And I guess I'm going to talk to my friends who know how to make costumes, and we're going to make costumes for it. And it was just very much, if it's not handed to me, I'm going to build it myself. So fast forward, this continued on into university, and I actually have a BFA in performance and from the University of Calgary. So I stayed here. It was super funny because like the box that people would always give me, I would play in the box because I never wanted to get in trouble, which is super funny for the work that I do now, because all I do is like break rules and like blow shit up. But at the time, it was very much, okay, I'm given this box. These are my limitations. I'm going to play within them because I'm too scared to go outside the box because I don't want to get in trouble, but I'm going to play within the box. So I was pretty much told, like, you can't leave Calgary to go to school. So I was like, fine, then I'm going to the University of Calgary and I'm going to do the drama degree thing and I'm going to make it all happen. And so I emerged a struggling artist, as you do when you have a Bachelor of Fine Arts, major in drama and performance. So I was a broke, struggling actor while I was also working like 55 hours a week, doing all the things. So I taught special effects makeup. I was teaching children's theater. I was also teaching Shakespeare for my old high school. I was also doing backstage makeup for things. I was in productions. And then I also worked for a major makeup brand for like 4 years as a makeup artist and a product specialist for them. And I was doing all the things, plus doing an internship with children's theater. And so during this internship, there was just a moment that since I was born, people had always said to me, like, you're going to be a struggling artist for the rest of your life. You might as well be a server or a waiter. And I was like, well, I'm the worst server in the world, so that's not going to work because I cannot carry a tray worth a damn. So clearly that's not a good route for me. There's got to be a different way. And so I just remember sitting in this audition room and these incredible actors who I just like drooled over came in one at a time and they auditioned, and you could just see it in their eyes that it was this moment of not only having to go neutral in order to like take on a different character, which is a performance technique that they teach you. Pretty much you go to theater school and they teach you like, don't be yourself, but not in like a douchey way, but in a way that it's like, okay, strip away every single aspect that makes you you in order to be able to embody someone else. Now, this is really powerful and amazing for actors, but what they don't teach you how to do is go back to you. So I would even stand outside of auditions and just be so hyper aware of like how I was standing and me talking with my hands, like, Danielle, you can't talk with your hands. And I would just tell myself, okay, like, you can't bobble your head when you talk. Like, you have to make sure that your spine is neutral when you walk in there. Like, you have to hit your mark. You have to make sure you look past the audition people. You can't look at them. Like, all these rules that were playing in my head consistently that just took away all the Daniness. I love using me in third person, but I do it all the time. It's super funny. But just like taking away all the Dani qualities, right? And just, I would walk in neutral. I would go and perform. And then I'd walk out of there after leaving my heart and soul like on this floor just to be criticized. And I found myself numbing out a lot because I was just so scared of criticism. If I was truly fully going to do my best out there, I just really wanted to be appreciated as such. But because I had this idea in my head of what people expected of me, it was really hard for me to really just be open and vulnerable and just me, right? Because you're taught for so long, especially when you go into acting at such a young age, that pretty much you're not good enough. This is what these casting directors are looking for. This is what your acting teachers are looking for. This is what this role is looking for. Like, you have to morph to everyone else's expectations. And like I said, this box that I was given, I was like, okay, if I'm not allowed to go outside the box, I'm going to play within the box. So it's so funny. I would do little tiny like rule breaker things. Like, I would get a tattoo, but I would only get a tattoo if I could cover it with the makeup because I was trained in makeup. Like, it was so funny. Or if there was a costume that could cover it or something like that, I was always playing with that. Or if I wasn't allowed to have a crazy colored hair for a role, I would dye my hair like a neutral red because I couldn't go full red or like whatever. Anything I could do to try to like reclaim control. So while I was watching these people come in and audition, I just saw in their eyes not only them just drop every part of who they were the minute they walked into the space, but I also just could feel from them that this job, they had to get it or else they wouldn't eat for the next few months. Or if they did get it, it's like, cool, thank you. I'm going to a different audition anyways right after this in order to get another job for the next 3 months after these months, because I need to fill up my entire year so that I know that I have a stable, like, quote unquote, safe role or something like that to lean into for income. And I just remember sitting there and being like, this is bullshit. Like, I was just, what have I done my whole life to take me up to this point? And so I went like full, I'm not going to do anything drama related, acting related. And I stepped away from it, and I landed up in like health coaching. And then from that, people were really interested in how I wrote. And I'm like, oh, I just write how I speak. Like, I hate rules, so I write how I speak, and this is how I write content, and this is how I kind of strategize, I guess, to like hit on pain points, and this is how I communicate with people. And I would break it down into systems, and then I somehow woke up one day and I was a business coach helping people with content, and I don't even know how that happened, but it happened so quickly. And then I started helping people leave their like 9-to-5 jobs or their multiple jobs and go from like broke ass post grad to actually living and pursuing a life that they loved, which I loved doing that so much. And I built my entire brand around it. And that's what allowed me to go full time in my business. But it was so like surface level, Dani. It was, this is what I'm kind of talking about, but I'm not going to share with you the actual thing that I'm talking about. And I was actually talking to one of my friends, and I was trying to compare like me trying to teach business coaches business strategy based on content strategy or whatever before. And I was just explaining how it was like me trying to feed a dog medicine. Like, I don't want to tell you what's in this capsule, so I'm going to put it in a block of cheese, and I'm going to feed you the cheese and hope to God you take it. Like, it was just so funny because I was just so scared of talking about like background and performance and all that stuff because it's weird and it's different and whatever. And then I actually ended up like going to three separate retreats last year, which is super funny. But the first one, I got an energy clearing session, and they're like, you're doing something, or you're not doing something with your voice, which you should be doing with your voice, and that you've always wanted to do with your voice, but you like really haven't tapped into that. And I'm like, okay, whatever, right? Ignored that. Go to a second retreat a couple months later in Sedona, and it was the same thing. A different energy healer was like, you're not using your voice. There's something with your voice that you've been trained in that you're just like really avoiding. And the Dani thing to do was just go, okay, like whatever, right? And then I went to the final retreat or whatever, right? Like, sounds so intense. But I went to this retreat with my coach who knew a lot of my training, what I was really passionate about. And I have this like intuitive gift that I can read voices, not only from like a scientific standpoint where I hear people's voices and I can like pinpoint where they're from because I'm trained in dialect, and I can pinpoint what resonators they're like working from and where their voice is coming from in their body and like how much tension they have in their voice and all that stuff. But also I started to realize that when I listen to people's voices and like listen to them express themselves in any way, like even when I read an email, it was like I would get these emails from coaches in the industry and stuff like that, and I would read these emails and they were so inspiring, quote unquote inspiring, but I would feel into it and be like, oh, I actually can't read this because like I can just feel the tension in their throat trying to like push out this email. And I didn't understand the connection at all. And then when I went to like the final retreat, we'll call it so intense. But my business coach made me read everyone's voices in the room, and they would talk and I would just feel into it. And I would be like, oh, you have a lot of tension like in your solar plexus. Like, that's really interesting. Is there a part of you that doesn't believe that you're worthy of standing up and stepping into the role that you have stepped into? And people were crying, and I was like on point with everything. And I was like, whoa, like I didn't realize how powerful I really was until I actually removed my own mask and owned the fact that I'm really fucking good at what I do. And this whole, like the training that I've had since I was little, it's so valuable in this entrepreneurial space. And it's so valuable with these coaches that feel like they have a reputation to protect and they can't go into the depths of what they are truly feeling because they can't open up to people because they have a reputation. They have this like income level that they have to hang on to, or they have this reputation in their industry that they have to hang on to or whatever. And that there's a disconnect not only within their voice, but within their body, within their self-expression. Because every single part of your voice, I think of it like a bridge. Like if you think of voice actually physically coming out from like your breath center, like your chest, out into the world, it comes out your mouth like a bridge. But it's actually a bridge from your soul. This is going to get really deep, guys. Get excited. But
wow.
Right? Like your soul into the world. I don't know who you are unless you tell me. I don't know what you're feeling unless you show me or you tell me in some way. And how we start to numb out and start to feel like an imposter is really when I show you something because I either don't know myself fully or I think it's what you want to see from me. And you teach people how to treat you. That is not a Danielle quote. That's a Dr. Phil quote. Thanks, Dr. Phil. But you teach people how to treat you. And so if I'm teaching you how to treat me a certain way, which feels actually inauthentic to me, but I'm so scared to show you the real me, that's when I'm going to start to numb out with like emotional eating or relationships or something like that, because I'm so scared to actually be seen and be vulnerable. And so I like blew up my entire passion to paycheck business. I removed all my courses. I stopped taking one-on-one clients and I rebranded my podcast and I rebranded everything. And I'm just like, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And if I'm going to put my ass into this, it has to be my full ass. So that was super recent. And that was like a super roundabout way of sharing like what I do and where I'm from and all that stuff. But yeah, that's Dani.
Who was it once? And they were like, go full ass. Does that sound familiar, Kimi?
No, I love it.
I think it was in a boot camp class that I was teaching, and someone was like, I think it was Chad, and they were like, don't half-ass, go full ass. And it was this like long running joke for weeks.
Oh my gosh.
But it's so true. Like freaking, if you're going to do it, go full ass. I mean, what other option do we have? Right. And I just like, what I love so much about your story is that you truly are turning your mess into your message and using your experience and like the pain and darkness that you've been through to serve others. And it is such a beautiful reminder that that is not only possible, but it's probably the reason why most of us even experience pain.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Right?
Yes. 100%.
And you have two choices. You can either sit in it and let it destroy you or let it uplift you and then uplift others. And you've done a beautiful, I listened to your story and it sounds very much like people who go through those like really painful health journeys, right? Where maybe they get way too into the fitness world to the point where it's self-destructive, or, you know, the same thing. I had no idea that the acting world was this way. I had an idea that it was kind of, you know, feast or famine, but I didn't have any clue about the emotional trauma that actors go through and that training puts on you. So thank you for sharing that. And I would love to hear what your favorite part is about your service and how your mess has really led you to love these different parts of how you serve. Is that a weird question?
My gosh, that's so good. No, I love it. I think one of the main things, and this is like, you see a lot of performers and especially in just people who have success, who don't feel like it's fulfilling. And I have, it's called the Disconnection Theory. It's going to be on my website later this week, but like actually, because I'm writing it and anyways, but I have this theory, and it's less of a theory and more of like something that I've really seen that has become my deep-seated why. For the longest time, I was like, I don't know what my why is, like world peace. Like, I don't know. Right. I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to like say was my why, but this is for sure my why. And it's just like so real for me. But you see all these performers and you see all these people who do acting and stuff like that, or successful entrepreneurs have like quote unquote successful people problems where they get to the top and they don't feel fulfilled. And it really comes from this place of this like mask that you feel like you have to wear. And for me, I just connect so strongly to performers because I've been through the whole acting chain, right, for so long. And now that I know what I know now from being in the personal development world, it's like you have a thought, and the minute you put emotion to that thought, it stores in your body. Your body's like the best recording system in the history of the planet. So if you're saying bad things to your body can hear you, y'all. Okay. So when it comes to that thought that attaches to the emotion, it becomes a belief. It's stored in your body. Now that's somewhere in your subconscious mind, but it's also somewhere in your body. So like people who do breath work, which is one of the things that I teach like at my retreats, breath and voice work is really powerful because sometimes repressed memories come up, like things happen because you're allowing yourself to actually fully breathe into your body for the first time in a really long time without tension or judgment or anything like that. And so these things can come flooding to the surface. And what they didn't really talk about when I was in acting, and something that I am like such an advocate for, and something that I strongly believe is like one of the main reasons why I had to step away from acting to see it from both sides, is that they teach you to go from like neutral to this character, neutral to this character. And when you go to this character and you're doing method acting, which is just a way to like, it's pretty much like if I was playing a role of someone who lived in a dumpster for like 5 weeks or whatever, like me as the actor would go like live in a dumpster for a few weeks and see what it was like. Like it's really trying to relive these other people's experiences, which is really powerful, but very, very traumatic. Because when you think of it this way, like I am going to play a role of someone who is really mentally unstable. Okay, I have to get into their frame of mind. But not only that, I have to say these words that they are going to say in this scene. But not only that, I also have to add emotion to them. So now I have to either pull up my own personal trauma to attach it to that, or convince my body that I'm feeling something, right? So I'm like taking these words and I'm feeling something else with them, and I'm trying to like embody this other person. Now I have to walk and talk and have an energetic frequency that is like related to this one character that I'm playing, which is so powerful. And that's why there's such amazing actors. But if I'm not taught at the end of the day, like a warm up and a cool down from a workout, right? You warm up, you hit the gym really hard, and then you cool down and you stretch. Well, what I really saw was just being taught, like, you warm up, you go hit the gym, and you just like stop and like live your life. And what happens with that is that you don't unwind and go back into who you are. And so that is super, super detrimental, because when you think of the neural pathways in your brain, like the more that you're digging this road of someone else's thoughts, the more that you don't know what you think anymore. You don't know what you feel anymore. You feel so lost and confused because you're either trying to be like next level Dani, is what I call like when you're trying to like one up yourself, like next level Dani, or you're trying to be a different character, or you're trying to be that amazing speaker on stage. And you go up on stage and you're like, I'm going to play the role of Dani, the incredibly successful entrepreneur, like hashtag 6 figures. And then you go up on stage and you speak. And then when you come off stage, someone comes up to you and says, oh my God, you've changed my life. And you, as the person who was just on stage, are actually so disconnected from that, because you're like in your head thinking, I didn't change your life. This persona of who I'm supposed to be changed your life. And so you actually can't even really grasp or connect to your own success because it's so different, because you've convinced yourself to think thoughts that aren't your own, which is really powerful when you're moving into a positive space. But when you are trying to like one up yourself, you lose yourself so quickly and you disconnect from yourself. And that's what I call the disconnect theory. But that's why I feel so many people at the top are feeling so disconnected, or they're feeling like they're numbing out, or they're trying to like, for me, especially, it was like, I was either binge drinking with my friends, emotionally eating in my business, or like when I was dealing with these really high points in my business, or I was becoming a workaholic because I actually couldn't feel myself in my business anymore. It was so surface level, and everyone knew me as passion to paycheck, and like everyone just knew what I was doing, that I didn't even feel authentic anymore. And it was like this huge disconnect for me. And so now that's just like that pain of literally feeling like I can't leave the house because my income goal, I haven't hit it yet, and I don't have a lot of money in my bank account. I'm supposed to be this person who's like raking in the dough, but I spent all the rest of my money like on this coach. And so I feel like a fraud, but I also feel like I'm not worthy of going out and hanging out with my friends because I don't want to pay for a meal that like, you know, and they're going to think I'm so successful, or like whatever goes on. Like I had a moment literally that I felt isolated, that I could not actually like leave the house because I was so obsessed with the image that I was carrying. And it was just such a mind fuck. Like I had to literally like unhinge and step back into the work that I teach and the work that I live, because I'm so thankful for my theater degree, because I always joke and say that I got a degree in life because I got to study human behavior and how humans feel and think and emote, and how they carry their presence, and how they write, and how like another person's thought pattern is. Like I got to go in and study that on so many different levels that I'm so thankful that now I get to do the work that I do now with like real people, helping them reconnect to their own brilliance.
Wow. What an interesting perspective. I've never really thought about it in this way. Did you ever see the movie Jim and Andy? Did you ever see that?
No.
Oh my God, you'd love it. So it's Jim Carrey, and it's all about like how when he played that role of Andy Kaufman, and it was like method acting, and Andy Kaufman was like really out there, and he took on this role, and it's just about how the separation between him and that character became so blurry. And actually, like if you follow Jim Carrey's work now, he's really like, he's really on a spiritual journey, and
oh yeah,
that was the trigger for him, where he was like, like
wow.
What is self, like who am I and how do I separate, and if I can so easily slip into this other identity, like what does that say about my ego versus, it's just like, you would love it. I think it's on Netflix actually, so check that out.
I literally just wrote it in my phone and I got chills.
Yeah, so awesome. So yeah, this is such an interesting thing for people to really connect with, and especially in this day and age, right, where we're taught to like set goals and like, what do you want to manifest, and how do you want to like speak into who you want to become. But it is important to also, just stay connected to self, true, and have these maybe practices in place where we check back in with, is this truth for me still? And so what, for our audience, what would be, maybe a few places that people could start, or maybe an exercise that people could have where they could just check in to see if they are in alignment with their own truth? And I mean, I know that's a really big question, but maybe just like a little Dani morsel, if you will, of like something that people could do to kind of just ask themselves maybe a powerful question, or do something to connect and see where they are in their journey.
The most powerful thing that anyone can do is just breathe, which it sounds like so ridiculous, but it's so true. So I'm gonna give you some behind the scenes in the breath work. But when you're breathing, like fully breathing, so you have 3 chambers of breath. And this is how I was taught with like breath work and voice work from the schools that I've been taught with breath. And I just love it because you have 3 chambers of breath. One is your lungs. So your lungs expand, step 1. Or like step 1 is actually like you have the desire to live. Congratulations. Hopefully everyone who's listening is living their life right now. So you have a desire to live. Your body's like, cool, I'm on it, Danielle. So it takes in breath. Breath goes to your lungs expand, step 1. Then when your lungs expand, your diaphragm's like, whoops, okay, I'm going to move out of the way. So you got more space up there, right? And so it moves down, and then your belly goes out. That's super important. And then when your belly goes out and your diaphragm's like, I'm just going to sneak down here, the organs are like, make way for the diaphragm. So they like sneak on back. And then you have this full expansion. So what a lot of people do is if I say, take a deep breath, you're like, and you actually hold your stomach super tight. So your diaphragm's like, I can't go anywhere, right? And then your lungs are like, oh, sorry, dude, like we can't expand. And then you feel like you're taking a deep breath, quote unquote, but it's so tense and so tight. And I had this one teacher, Gail, who once just said this at a voice class, and she's just like, think of the breath as the inspiration. And that just knocked me off my socks. I don't know if that's not how you say it, but you get me. But it just like knocked my socks off. There we go. Because I was just thinking about this whole goal setting thing. And it's like, I have this desire to breathe. Or I have this desire to live, really. And my body already knows what to do. And all I have to do is open my mouth. Or like all I have to do is allow my lungs to expand. And that's really what it is in life. It's like I have this desire for this goal, and my body's like already like, hey, let's do it, right? Like that's why visualization is so powerful. That's why everything is just so powerful and potent, because you're like, okay, I want to do this. Cool, I'm going to do it. Like if you wanted to go get tacos, you wouldn't be like, I want to go get tacos. Please, universe, give me tacos. And you wouldn't like go and be like, I need to visualize tacos for like 14 minutes exactly, and then do a mantra about tacos, and then hopefully I'll get an inspiration for tacos. You're just like, cool, I like kind of want tacos today. And then maybe like 5 minutes later, you're like, oh, cool, like just skip the dishes, like deliver tacos. Cool, let's look. Then you like order, and then you just like wait for your order to come. And now that's way easier said than done, because I'm laughing at myself right now thinking that, because there's some goals in my head that I'm like, Danielle, remember the tacos, right? So But it's so true because that's always when you look at it and you're like, whoa, I asked for this and I don't even remember really asking for it, but I did. And it just like happened. And obviously there's so many layers to this. Like, I don't think it's as black and white as that, but it's just a really good analogy and metaphor for when you want. He knows what to do. Like when you want something, you're just like, I want this. And then the next step is already there for you. And so the best thing that you can do, I forgot the question, but okay, I'm back. We're back at the question. But the best thing you can do is actually allow your lungs to fully like bring in air and just be aware of that. And one thing that you can do physically, because a lot of people who I read voices with who are at higher levels or they're like searching for their income goal, they're like, Danielle, I can't feel the breath go any deeper than my throat. Like I feel so much tension and tightness and anxiety and all that stuff. And the best thing that you can do is I used to teach kids, so this is why I'm super good at visuals, but you put your thumb in your belly button and then just let your hand drop and just allow breath to go there in whatever way it wants to. So instead of trying to force breath there, just like allow breath to just seep in whatever way is comfortable. And I've literally laid on the floor with my knees up for like hours and hours trying to like get breath to go deeper because you can't rush it. You can't force it because the more that you force, the more that you tighten, the more you tense, the more tension there is to release. So if you just allow your body to just do its thing, like you have the desire for the breath to go there, your breath is going to naturally go there without you thinking about it. Does that make sense? And that's how you can like connect deeply to who you are is step one. Remember that your body already knows what to do. Like remember that you already have breath. Remember that you already have a desire to breathe and reconnecting to your physical body. And with that, you'll reconnect emotionally and spiritually and all that stuff and mentally and like everything.
Holy shit.
I just blow your mind. Boom.
Yeah. This is like, this is powerful. This is so good. Like I just hope that I know everybody listening right now, because this is what I'm doing. I'm like, my eyes are closed and I'm just really trying to like breathe naturally and deeply, and my thumb is in my belly button. Like it's like trying to follow, and like I can't rush it. I feel myself tensing. Like it's just things that we don't. What's so funny about just life in general is that we just make things so much harder on ourselves than they ever need to be. And once we can remember exactly what you said, we already have all of the answers, and our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual state has everything that it needs to. We have everything we need. We know all the answers within, yet we love to make things more complicated. We love to bring our mind into it. We love to overanalyze down to things as natural and simple as breath.
It's so true. And it's super funny because I've like been teaching, like I've been doing this voice work, which makes me feel old, but I'm not that old, for like 8 years now, like since year one of university, like really intensely doing this for about 8 years. And I've been out of university for like about 3 years now. And I've been teaching kids and I teach adults and all that stuff, this voice work. And now I teach entrepreneurs and just all this stuff. And I can just see who has a reputation to protect based on their breath. Like it's super funny that I can walk into a room and just be like, okay, people, like here, stand like this and put your finger in your belly button and like, and breathe. And then instantly I'll just like feel like, okay, whoa, this person really, there's someone in this room that they want to impress, like just based on what they're expressing with their body, based on what they're expressing with their energy. Like your breath is so powerful. And it's so funny because I just laugh at like my job. I always used to joke and when I was directing stuff and be like, I just get to teach people how to be human. And I always joke because I'm like, Mom, I manifested this shit. Like now all I do is teach people how to be human beings, like for real this time, and actually get paid for it. Because all I'm teaching you guys to do is breathe. And it probably blows your whole damn mind because you realize in that moment that there's nothing to prove and there's no one to impress. And it's just you and your breath. And that's how you ground down and connect. And it's super deep, but it's also super freaking cool. Like your body is so cool.
Totally.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh my God. We could go on forever. I just don't ever want you to stop talking.
We could, but we have to all go get tacos right now.
Right? Yes. Tacos.
Awesome. Well, Dani, my goodness, tell us where people can find out more about you. And yeah, where are all the places?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So my favorite place is, okay, so everyone needs to know, like, I'm super deep and like snaps, poetry, and all that stuff. But I'm also kind of like the Amy Schumer of the coaching industry. So when you start to follow me, do not be scared, right? I always say that because I'm like, I just want to warn everyone how weird I really am. So Unleash Your Voice is like my biz. And so you can go to DanielleDriusso.com to find out all about that. It's going to be updated. I'm rebranding still. So when you get there might not be a lot of amazingness, but there is a lot of amazingness on Instagrams at Dani Driusso. But I'm definitely Unleash Your Voice on Facebook. And if you follow my Instagram stories, you're welcome, world. That's where you get all the weirdness.
We love the weirdness.
Yeah. Oh, and I have a podcast.
Oh,
right.
yeah, that.
And you guys are going to be on it, which is the Unleash Your Voice podcast. And that is on the iTunes and on the SoundCloud.
Perfect. And we'll be sure to include this in the show notes and all of that. And we're so excited to be connected with you. And as we said, we were talking earlier, like we're going to hug in real life. Now we're going to get tacos in real life. That's going to be the thing that we do. So thank you so much for sharing all of your badassery with our audience today, and just for being you. We love how you are just you. You are you across your website, across your Instagram, wherever you show up, before we hit record, after we hit record, and really that's your message too. So we love that, and yeah, thank you so much.
That was the best compliment in the world. Like, one of my biggest goals in life is just to literally have, well, I'm like a very unfiltered human being, like, and I've worked to do that as well. Like, it's within, like, being powerful within myself. But also, my favorite thing in the world is when someone meets me in person and they're like, holy shit, you're the same as you are on Instagram. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. Love that. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, we'll be talking soon, I'm sure. And yeah, just keep on being your badass, amazing self, and we'll catch you soon.
Oh, yes. Love you guys.
I
love you. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this interview with Dani. As always, we can continue the conversation in the tribe on Facebook. You can get there by going to bledigital.com/tribe. And also be sure, if you were listening to this episode, take a screenshot and post it on your story on Instagram. And be sure to tag us at BrokeAssToBadass. We love hearing from you on Instagram, so definitely reach out, shoot us a direct message, and we'll see you in the tribe on Facebook. Till next time.